What's up, y'all? What is going on? I want to welcome y'all to Listener Feedback episode number 5. We are underway. I'm your host, Keon Mitchell, and I want to say welcome to the show. Welcome. Now, what I want you guys to do is, if you yourself have some things on the heart, you have some things on your mind, some things you want to get off your chest that are gaming related, I want you to feel free to be able to call into the show and express those feelings, and you can do it by calling 443-216-9934 and let your voice be heard. Or you can email the show if you're a little phone shy and you want to just go ahead and write it up. Some people, they actually get their thoughts out better when they write. So you can feel free to email the show, and the email address is theanalogcirclepodcast@gmail.com. Now, I got to give you a warning. The only problem with writing in, reading is fundamental, people. And sometimes I feel like I don't do a great job reading the emails. And I got 4 of them to read, so y'all go ahead to bear with me. But outside of getting into the listener feedback, we got some news from Sony today. Sony actually did a teardown of the PlayStation 5, and we're going to get into that a little later on during the show. So for right now, let's go ahead and jump into listener feedback, and we're going to start it off with an OG of the show, Mr. Cody Clark, and I believe I got 2 of them from you this week, so I want to go ahead and get things started with your first one. Now, the title of his email is, how much would, could, should a Bethesda to PlayStation choo-choo? Brother, you something else with these titles, Cody. He says, I think it behooves Microsoft to keep sending things to PlayStation. I agree. He says, take the higher road. I mean, not for all of the stuff, but huge games like Elder Scrolls. How much could they make having it on both sides? I mean, plus PC. I think you give them some, and then games you want that have a lot of multiplayer, you make Sony capitulate and say, look, you can have this, but you have to allow crossplay or no Doom X10,000 or whatever. Oh, dang, Cody what a dog gonna do some ransoms up in this mother lover. God, dog. He continues to say, Elder Jams, I feel like it would be super lame to break up the brand and not put it on the PlayStation. Oh, he said the band. I said the brand. The band. Pardon me. Told you, reading is fundamental. He says newer IPs, sure, case by case. I mean, the fact is, if they do offer to release them, then Sony fanboys will call it handouts and refuse. So there is winning and not winning no matter what they do or say. Falls here. Xbox services, pre-orders all over are pretty sold out, and I missed the window. Me too, Cody. I didn't even try to open the window, brother. He says, gang, shout out if you see Open Series X Xbox pre-orders reopen up somewhere so the community can find them, i.e. me as well. Cody, yeah, most definitely, if I can ever find anything open, because quite honestly, Cody, like I just said a second ago, I didn't even try. I didn't try for the PlayStation 5. I didn't try for the Series X. And I'll tell you this, the reason why, and I'm going to get into your other part of your email in just a second, Cody, but I don't really try to get the launch edition consoles anymore because I got burned back on the 360 and the PlayStation 3. Both of those joints just died on me. The PlayStation gave me the yellow light of death, and of course the Xbox 360, we all know what that was. It was the red ring of death. So after going through several of those, I said, you know what? I'm just going to wait. From now on, I'm going to give it a couple months, let that first batch come out, see how they're working, and then, you know, maybe May, June, somewhere around there, I'll go ahead and pick it up, because hopefully by then, if it was any bugs, they'll already be worked out. But, I mean, I could always go out there and get a warranty. Well, I'm definitely going to do that. I would tell anybody to do that for sure. But it seems like with this generation of consoles, we didn't really hear anything about any malfunctions or anything with the manufacturing of the consoles this time. But we're getting some words, man, about Xbox and PlayStation. We gonna talk about it a little later. But Cody, it seems like to me, good brother, you want to, man, brother, like I said, you want to take hostages, man. God dog, Cody. Cody said, look, if you don't make this game crossplay, have Microsoft tell Sony, I want you to make this crossplay, and if you don't, you ain't getting a new Elder Scroll. How about that? Make a decision. Good grief, Cody. That's kind of, I mean, listen, brother, it's business. And I understand exactly what you are saying. And you even went as far as to say that you think it would be lame if Microsoft didn't put the newest Elder Scroll on PlayStation. Brother, you are my dude, man. Man, brother. I tell everybody all the time, if it wasn't for this brother, this section of the podcast would have died a long time ago. But I disagree with you, Cody. I cannot stand by. Now listen, this is the fanboy in me. I'm gonna tell you this, man. This is me being an Xbox fan through and through. I'm about to show my colors right here. Man, I would say use the same exact tactics that Sony does. If Sony, this is the crazy thing. If Sony had gotten their hands on Bethesda, if they were their studio, we would not even be having a conversation about games coming to other platforms that were under PlayStation's umbrella. We would know, well, that's sealed off. That's the garden. We don't have a key. You can't get in unless you buy a PlayStation. And I understand that Microsoft, they've done some moves. They've continued to do things on other platforms, like I talked about, maybe an episode or two ago. Ori and the Will of the Wisp, that is on the Switch right now. They've put other games on the Switch as well. So, I mean, it's not like, Minecraft. Minecraft is another one, but I found this out, and I might be repeating myself, but they said somewhere in the deal with Minecraft that they had to put it on all platforms. They couldn't keep it for themselves. Now, whether or not that's true, that's what I heard. It was on a podcast. I can't even remember the podcast that I heard it on. It might have been Boom. Shout out to Boomstick. I like him. He's cool, man. But it might have been on his podcast or whatever. But where the guy was talking about the deal. But nah, Cody, I would keep him, brother. I would keep them for myself. I wouldn't take the high road. Like you said earlier in the email, brother, I don't want to misquote you. You said, quote, I think it behooves Microsoft to keep sending things to PlayStation. Take the higher road. Man, this is the thing, brother. Microsoft, they got to get in the mud, man. They got to get people on their platform. Now, if we're talking about from a business standpoint, and that's what this is at the end of the day, all of this is big business, hundreds of millions of dollars. They spent $7.5 billion. Cody, I get it. If it's on so many different platforms, they can get their money back in no time. But I talked about that maybe an episode or two ago, Cody. This stuff starts to kind of run together after so many episodes, man. And my memory ain't that great. So, that makes it even worse. But I was saying that with Microsoft's strategy, having not only the consoles, but having that deal with Samsung so they're on your phones and they're on the TVs, on the Samsung TVs, and they have their games on PC, they have a big enough market, I would think. Now, of course, a lot of that, as far as the phones go and xCloud, that's really pending on how well people adopt it on the mobile side. But looking at the numbers, going from 10 million to 15 million in just a little shy, under a little less than 6 months, that shows that the growth is there. Now, like I said before, whether that's people getting in on the $1 tier, or if that's half of that 15 million or whatever, more than half that are paying that $10 to $15 a month. We'll never know that, but the growth seems like it's there. And once xCloud gets, well, it's already been introduced, but if people adopt that model as well, man, that's just gonna make them be able to get that money a lot faster. Now, I really don't have any stock or any stake in Microsoft, as it were, so I don't care about their money to a certain degree. The only reason why I would care about them getting their money back, Cody, is probably similar to yourself. You want to see the Xbox brand continue to keep going, keep seeing them investing and picking up great studios and being able to produce amazing gaming experiences. That's the only reason why I would want Microsoft to continue to get their finances together, because once something stops making money, then it goes away. And that's the last thing I want for Microsoft for Xbox, is for Microsoft to say, this thing isn't making enough money, we're scrapping it. Because we heard for a bit of a stretch there that the Xbox brand was going to be taken away. They were going to do away with it, but it's here. It's my preferred platform. They haven't done the best this generation. They have not. And I've been very critical of them, because I'm such a fan of the brand. And with this Bethesda move that we're talking about here, Cody, that's definitely instilled a lot of faith in me that Microsoft is truly in this thing for the long haul. But for me, I say fight fire with fire. Everybody wants to make fun of Microsoft, me included. I definitely include myself in this, saying, where are the games? Microsoft, what are you going to do? Where your AAA games instead of these AA experiences? Now, all of a sudden, they got 8 different reasons, or 7. I think they picked up 7 or 8 studios in this acquisition with Bethesda. Now they have these big AAA games. Not saying they've been great the whole time. Let's not, I ain't going to lie about that. Not saying they've been amazing every single time, but these are big enough IPs. I mean, huge enough IPs where people will at least take a second look at the Microsoft ecosystem and say, maybe I need to get in there. So for me, I want it to happen off of competition. Sony, when they get something, it's going to be under their umbrella. Nobody else is going to get it. I just want to see Microsoft do the same thing and have these two heavyweights slug it out. That's what I want, Cody. But thank you for this email, brother. It's always great hearing from you, man. It's truly appreciated. And we're definitely going to get into your second email a little later in the show. But thank you for this, brother. Now, up next, we haven't heard from this brother in a little while. Mr. Free Fly Ferret Fly, brother Fly. What's going on, man? Good grief, it's been a while since I have heard from you, and it's great to hear from you right here. Now, the title of his email is called Side Hustle. Oh, shucks, here we go. He says, my brother, that's Free Fly Ferret classic form right there. He always starts it off with a my brother. He says, been so busy, but still make sure to listen every week. I appreciate that, man. Thank you for that, brother. He says, I do think Microsoft will hold the ZeniMax games as exclusives. Okay. He says that's a lot of money to spend not to. That's a good point. A lot of people, well, let me finish your email. Let me respect this good brother's email and finish it first before I jump all over the place. He says, my question for you is, we know you're a trucker and that you love video games, but do you have any other passion hobbies? Oh, okay. He says, I myself spend a lot of time in the garage building furniture. What? And other things with wood. Oh, shucks. He says, I also love TV and movies. Would love to hear what the rest of the circle does besides games. Free Fly Ferret. He says, eating a lot of Taco Bell. He says, eating a lot of Taco Bell, trying to get that Series X. That is so funny, brother, because honest to goodness, I was just at Taco Bell last night getting a doggone burrito, a soft taco, and a medium drink, brother. Good grief. But Free Fly Ferret, thank you so much for this email, man. And like you said, we're going to break this down a little bit. He says, Free Fly Ferret, and I agree with him. He says they spent too much money not to have these games be exclusive. $7.5 billion is a god doggone heck of a lot of money. I don't even have an example of how much it is. A bank vault amount? I don't know, man. Just spitballing right now. But yeah, that is a ton of money to spend just to say, well, guess what? We're not going to change anything. You guys can still get it. You guys can still get it. And everybody will always go back to that Minecraft deal where they spent the $2 billion on that, or it might have been 2.5. I don't know exactly, but I know it was $2 billion or something. And people say that because they did it once, they'll do it again. But like I said, whether or not this is true, I heard that it was in the contract that if they got Minecraft, it had to continue to be on multiple platforms. Now, I don't know if that's real or false, but yeah, for me, I think that it would just do so much for them to have these IPs. Then you have Starfield coming out. They got another open world game that's in the works right now from ZeniMax Online. I mean, you gotta give the people a reason. Give them a reason to get your console, get excited, get in their ecosystem of the Xbox brand. And I think that you can't get much better than this. It's no way they're going to be able to acquire a Rockstar. It doesn't look like WB Games is going to happen, even though, what's his name, Michael Pachter? No, man, that guy, shout out to that guy. His track record is never that great, but man, he has some crazy ideas. But Michael Pachter, he believes that Sony is in a great spot to pick up WB Games. We don't know if that's going to happen or not. Who knows? That would have been a great pickup for anybody. Just for the studios alone, it would be amazing. Anybody getting a Rocksteady, God, dog, that is a W. So whether or not that happens, nobody knows. I mean, it's a couple of other studios that I guess could possibly be acquired, but it would be just so much money. I don't know, man. I don't know. But the only point that I was making here is that, yeah, all of that money being spent, I think Microsoft, they just need to keep them on their platform to have people come in, brother. And I know I'm repeating myself a million times here, but that's why I'm going to move on into your second part of your email, brother. Your second question, where you were asking me, am I passionate about other things? First off, I want to say this, brother. That is amazing that you make wooden furniture as a hobby. This brother said as a hobby, he is making sofas, love seats, chairs. This brother, God, dog, man, hey, brother, man, mail me something, brother. Go and mail me a piece of furniture, please. I'll pay you. Good grief, that is so amazing. I was never good in wood shop. I would, man, I'm just not good at building anything. And it's not even for a lack of trying, Free Fly. It's just, I'm not good at building. I'm not really good with my hands too much, man, when it comes to that kind of stuff. My measurements are always off. I just can't can't get it together. But your question, and I'm just saying that to say that, man, that's just amazing what you do, man. That's really, really dope. That's a heck of a skill to have, man. But for me, some other things that I'm passionate about, but I would say music, man, for sure. I got to shout out my buddy Gary. He actually, back when I was around 13 or 14 years old, right? I had, started listening to, which to me was still an amazing moment in my life, brother. I started listening to Wu-Tang Clan, man. Good gosh, 36 Chambers, man. I started listening to them. It was like the whole New York scene, though. It wasn't just Wu-Tang. I was listening to Mobb Deep, was listening to Nas, listening to Big Pun. I mean, anybody out of New York, Capone and Noriega. It was just an amazing time for me as a teenager. I think all of us reflect on our teenage years and music like it's some of the most pivotal moments, because for me, like I was getting to, Wu-Tang Clan had such an amazing sound, man. And after I found out who was behind the actual beats, who was RZA, I couldn't believe it. This guy, RZA, he single-handedly made me want to make beats, man. So, and outside of that, my father, he was a huge music lover. He absolutely loved music, but he didn't necessarily love to make it. He loved the technology that went into it. So he was big into the Harman Kardons. I would go with him to Circuit City to pick out the different receivers he was going to get. He was so old school. He had, the reel-to-reels, man, where you had to put the tape on the joint to have it play. He had those, and he was just interested in the tech that went into it. So he would have me come downstairs and listen to music with him. And I mean, you know, he was a very musically inclined person. He just didn't play instruments. He would just listen for the sounds and all. That was his thing. So some of that rubbed off on me as well, having, you know, him having me listening to the old school groups like the Whispers and the OJs and Aretha Franklin, you know, just so many different artists, and then coming up to the Michael Jacksons, the Princes, and, you know, and so on and so on. But listening to RZA, his beats, I had talked to a buddy of mine, a good friend of mine, Gary. I was talking about him a little earlier, and he was telling me, he said, well, you know you can buy the equipment, right? Now keep in mind, I'm 14, 15 years old. I ain't got no darn money. But he was like, look, I'm going to show you. Come with me. I'm going to take you to this place. And the name of the store, it was, it wasn't Guitar Center back then. Guitar Center I went to later on. It was called Planet something, though. It was back on Route 40. I've talked about Route 40 a couple times. It was at Route 40 West at the old Circuit City building, the building I was telling y'all I used to go to with my pops back in the day. And he took me in there, and they had keyboards, they had drum machines, and all of this amazing stuff. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, Gary, this MPC is like $1,800. How the heck am I going to pay for something like that? His response was, hey, man, I ain't tell you, you know, that you would be able to afford it. I just was trying to tell you where the building was, where you could get it. So, I mean, I would go in there and I would play on the MPC, you know, tap on the pads or whatever. Couldn't really afford one. So, you know, when you broke, you do what you can do. So I had went and got some software, actually called Acid. And that's what I use to this day, Acid. I bought an MPC quite a few years ago. And, with, you know, still bang on the pads and whatnot. It's just great, man. So that's definitely, I know that was a long drawn out answer, but making beats is something I really enjoy, man. You know, I'm mostly doing the loop based stuff though, for real. You know, the tapping of the drum patterns and all that stuff is really, really hard work. So I just stick to the loop based stuff. But outside of that, I was huge into, man, you had me going down memory lane with that one. God dog, Free Fly. Good gracious, man. But, trying to stay on track here. Good grief. Y'all know what happens to me. I veer off. But I used to be huge into anime. That was something I absolutely loved. My first anime film that got me hooked was Akira. And this is crazy though. Did you guys even realize, I didn't realize this till years later, that shows like Thundercats, Silverhawks, and it's one more, was it Transformers? They were like anime back then. I had no idea. It was just a different art style to them, and it was just something appealing about them to the eye. But I had no idea. Matter of fact, shout out to Goose. Goose, not Goose. I always bring up Goose, but shout out to that good brother. I ain't heard from him in a while. Give me a call, Goose. Send me an email or something, brother. But shout out to Cody. Cody, he told me about his. Hold on, let me pull this up. Let me pull this up live on the air. But see, here I go. I'm all over the place again, Free Fly Ferret. Yeah, I was talking about anime, right? I want to play this real quick because it does go in line with what I was talking about just a second ago. Hold on. Pulling it up right now. That was something I was deep into. Akira. Like I said, it was mind blowing. I went from that to Riding Bean to 8 Man. I used to love waking up on Saturday mornings looking at the Sci-Fi Channel. Hold on, listen to this. Tell me if you recognize this. If you don't recognize that, brother, my man Cody sent me Robotech as his favorite theme song. And back in the day, Robotech, Voltron, I had no idea them joints was anime. So just seeing it later on in life, because I was around like 14, a lot of stuff happened to me. A lot of good stuff, nothing bad or anything. Happened around like 13, 14 years old. So that was one of the things, seeing Akira and just moving on. But anime was something I was huge into. Comic books. I had a comic book of Spider-Man 2077 back in the day, and the actual artist, I forgot his name. He had signed it for me, and I like a dummy, I went on and traded it for a Spawn comic book back in the day, and didn't even take into consideration I had the man's signature. So I mean, I've had quite a few different things that I've been into over the past, man, that I've been passionate about, but most of that stuff, has kind of fell to the wayside because of, just being a truck driver. You don't have a lot of time to really stay into certain hobbies, and it happens. I used to also enjoy like taking apart. Now this was only for a short amount of time though, Free Fly. Me and my mother, we used to take apart the PC and put like different drives, like a CD-ROM drive into it, into the bay. I enjoyed doing that. That didn't last forever. It was like a bit of a phase around maybe like 15, 16. I was doing that and kind of got out of it, would switch the RAM out. That was fun for a while. So yeah, man, I think I rambled a lot on this one, no Free Fly. I'm sorry, audience. It's just, these are the things that keep me enjoying the podcast. Being able to talk with y'all just bring up certain things, like certain memories, man. And it's just great to talk about them and share them with y'all. So I want to thank you, Free Fly Ferret. This was a really, really good email. Took me to a happy space, and I truly appreciated this, brother. I know I veered off. I mean, I'm always going to do that. Unfortunately, I'll try to do better, but Man, you just took me to a place, brother. I really, really appreciated this, man. And please continue to write in. God, dog, it made me feel good, man. Let's go ahead, though. We got another email here, though, and this is from A1 Subset Tekken. This brother wrote it. I haven't heard from you in a while either, man. It's good to hear from you, bro. Let's get into your email. Now, the title of his email is called Guilty as Charged / Bethesda. He says, hello, Keon. What's going on? What's up, Set? Again, brother. He says, I just listened to the latest edition of the podcast as I was putting my 5 miles of walking. Good grief, 5 miles. Congratulations on that. That's a long way. And you brought up Virtual Fighter, which, yes, I've been on my soapbox since the release of MKX on how Virtual Fighter needs to make a comeback. With the new interest in fighting games, I thought it would have been a perfect time. However, Sega did not ever respond. Yes, I am ecstatically happy that there is hope for another Virtual Fighter in this time. I was going to mention it in one of my last emails, but I really wanted to find out more about it. But being that you did bring it up, yes, I am really on my soapbox now. He says, I will also be joining other Virtual Fighter players on Xbox competing as we do. Back in the late 90s, that Virtual Fighter scene was deep and heavy. However, it was mainly in Japan. Yeah, I was saying I had never heard of it. One subset. That's why it was amazing to me that back in the 90s, this was something that was heavy, where here in the States are just starting to really get into esports. So they were, good grief, what a decade plus ahead. Yeah, let me continue with your email though, good brother. He says, without any internet, so you had to be extremely good or know someone in the industry. Hopefully with this new game coming, it will not be like that, and the internet will play a huge role, so players like myself can get some shine. So with that being said, I'd like to extend an invitation. All fighters, Virtual Fighter, Tekken, MK11, Killer Instinct, which I really suck at, and DOA 6. I don't play Street Fighter or King of Fighters. I can be found on Xbox at, write this down, y'all, write this good brother's gamer tag down. He can be found at One Subset. That's all one word. ONESUBSET. He said, One Subset. I just play for fun. Back to the topic at hand. Yes, I'm over the moon with excitement knowing that there's another Virtual Fighter in the works. He says, now that I've settled with Microsoft buying Bethesda, I do feel it's a good move for the industry. I'm looking over my inventory of IPs. Rage, The Evil Within, Fallout, Doom, Wolfenstein, Quake, Dishonored. I've always played them on Xbox anyway. There aren't many games that Bethesda makes that I play on PlayStation anyway. So it's a win-win for me. Well, I've held up. He says, I've held up enough of your time. Oh, no, you good, brother. He says, I've held up enough of your time from the town population that is less than 1,400 people. Stay safe. Wear your mask. Peace. Lukema, brother. My good brother is from Lukema, North Carolina. Shout out to you, man. Yeah, so it was you. I figured it was one of you guys that were a big Virtual Fighter fan, and it was you. I'm happy for you, man. I'm gonna tell you one subset. It brings me a lot of joy to know that this game, Virtual Fighter, that you have been beating the drummer, as you said, you have been on your soapbox screaming, please, Sega, bring out another one. And it looks like they are finally going to do it. So I'm so happy, man. Me, I was a big I'm not going to say I was a big Virtual Fighter fan, but I was a big enough fan, because when I got the Sega Saturn, that was the reasoning to get that. For me to get that, the Virtual Fighter series, Daytona USA, and Virtual Cop. Those 3 games took me over the moon with that. And I remember back in the day, people forget about this other fighting game that Sega had. I'm sure you have it, was Subset. But Fighting Vipers was another game I was so into. I absolutely loved that game when you would hit the guy or the character, it would be like bam, bam, bam. And it would show like 3 different camera angles when you hit him with a critical shot. That was a hard game too. I really, really enjoyed that. Matter of fact, that game can be found inside of the game Judgment on the PlayStation 4. It's the entire game, Fighting Vipers. If you get, like I said, what did I just call the game? Judgment. That game is included in the arcade. You can play through the whole game. So yeah, man, I'm happy. Once again, hit my guy up, man. He can be found over on Xbox at One Subset. Hit him up, man. Fighting games, brother, you would mop me, man. I'm dead serious. You would mop the floor with me. I was into Virtual Fighter. Tekken, I loved Tekken. Tekken was the reason why I wanted a PlayStation. I'll never forget, I went to the arcade at Security Square Mall out there in Baltimore County. If you're from Baltimore, you know about Security Square Mall's arcade. It was epic, man. But I went there and I had seen Tekken for the first time, and it was King. One of the guys was playing as King, and golly, what was the other guy? He was like the Bruce Lee kind of fighter. I cannot remember his name, but they were playing against each other, and I was so blown away. After seeing that, I thought Virtual Fighter was something. It was like Tekken was more snappy. It was faster. It looked more clean as far as the polygons were concerned. You guys remember polygons was the joint in the 90s. Polygons ran the gaming industry, brother. It was amazing technology. But seeing it on Tekken, it just looked better. It just looked crisp, a lot cleaner. And then I remembered after I left the arcade, I had went down to Electronic Boutique, which was not too far from the arcade in the mall. And I went in there and I had started looking through the magazines, and I think it was Next Generation magazine? It might have been Next Generation or Game Fan. I think it was Game Fan magazine. I had picked that up because I was, looking through the magazine. This is before they used to put them in plastic, back in the day. But I was looking through it and I saw a Tekken in there. I was like, you know what? This is the closest I'm going to get to getting this game home, is looking at it on the pages of this magazine. So I picked the magazine up, took it home, and I had no idea until I actually started reading the article that the game was coming out on the PlayStation. I said, that's it. I know what I want for Christmas. That is it. I need this. That game single-handedly made me want to get a PlayStation, brother. So a fighting game, something that I am no good in now, made me want to get a PlayStation. But One Subset Tekken, Dag, I didn't even finish your email here, brother. You were talking about Bethesda. Yeah, so for you, it looks like this isn't a big deal. Like you said, all of Bethesda games you play on the Xbox anyway. So this is a win-win for you. I feel you on that, brother. Yeah, I think it's a good move for the industry as well, because for me, like I say, it's all about competition. That's what everybody says. It's about the competition. And I don't want to see Sony just just stomp the heck out of Microsoft in this upcoming generation. I want these two guys at each other's necks, trying to get a one-up on the other. So by them doing this, now I'm not saying that Sony is going to go out here. People are saying they should buy Konami. I don't know, man. Outside of Metal Gear, Konami, man, they had them to pachinko machines and stuff, right? If I'm not concerned, daggone, I think I told on myself right there. Good grief. I meant to say if I'm not mistaken. Good gosh. But, I mean, Konami, I don't know, man. It would be dope to see another Metal Gear. Castlevania is under there. Contra is under that banner. I don't know if they're going to sell. Who knows? But I heard that they were in the talks of maybe acquiring Blue Point. I mean, it's a few different, I guess, studios they could try to get. And that's what I was getting to with competition. Hopefully this makes Sony, because it's been talks out there that they are looking, but this will put a little bit more pressure on Sony to get some more studios. And I'm not even saying that Sony necessarily needs more studios, because the studios they have are unbelievably talented. I mean, you don't get a Naughty Dog just on a whim. I mean, they are a top tier developer. Then you have Sony Santa Monica. That's another top tier doggone developer. You got Insomniac. I don't even know if they need to go out there and get more studio. Well, I'm not going to say that. They do, because right now Microsoft is sitting at 23, and you have Sony sitting at around 15. At this, I guess in this upcoming generation, it's always been this way, but I think it's going to be a bigger emphasis on, I guess, content going into the services. Now, we understand that right now, Jim Ryan, he's saying that it's not sustainable for Sony to have a Game Pass model, because they make $100 million games. I was talking to my brother AB, shout out to you, brother, about this. And, I mean, I don't know if that's going to be the case. Like I was talking about before, if Microsoft continues to go down that path, and this is something they're able to do, and they're able to do it and make money, then, Sony, I'm not saying they're going to have to jump on board and do the exact same thing, but they are possibly going to have to make some adjustments. But I don't know, man. But golly, one subset Tekken. I'm rambling again, brother. Good gosh. Thank you for the email, man. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys aren't getting too upset with me just rambling and just going off. It's just great to read the emails, man. Y'all take me to certain places with some of them, and I appreciate it, man. I'm reminiscing over Security Square Mall back when I was, 16 years old. 16, I might have been 17 by that time, 16 or 17, when I seen Tekken for the first time in the arcade. It was just a magical moment for me. Good gosh, man. But once again, shout out to you, One Subset Tekken. Keep the emails rolling, brother. It's always appreciated, and it's fantastic to hear from you, brother. Let's go ahead. It looks like we're on the last email here, and this is coming from Mr. Cody Clark. You gonna close us out, brother. He says, now the title of his email is The Crunchiest of Captains. Now, I know what this has to do with. This has to do with crunch. With, I asked the question, do you guys care about crunch? So, my dude right here, Cody Clark, he's gonna tell me what he feels about it. He says, well, tell us, cause, I'm in here with y'all, man. He says, let me start by saying, overtime and crunch can and does happen in lots of ways. Some industries deal with it far better than others. I have two friends who work in the behind the scenes in TV and film. They do 12, 15, 17-hour days on the regular. It's bull crap part of the industry. And after X amount of time as a grip or a PA or camera operator, they get to join a union and get some kind of protection. The EU has tons of regulations to protect workers. I am not sure how that affects the CD Projekt Red guys. I know for our artists in Pregu here at Custom Ink, it means all kinds of exceptions have to be made to protect and not screw them over. But I do know if you are not a producer or a team lead in a video game studio and they tell you to crunch, you do, or you get let go. God dog. He says, I've watched it happen at Mythic over 4.5 years. Quote, oh, grats on the baby. Can you be back in 2 weeks? No? Well, we are in crunch, so bye-bye. Dag. Bye-bye. I see what you did there, brother. He says this is one of the reasons the game industry needs a union and why $70 plus $80 games could help. Dag, that's terrible, man. He says, but there are other things. There are other things. If you were a salary employee, then you better deal with it. If you were hourly like me in CS, customer service, well, even we got co-scripted into do uncredited quality assurance work because of course. Dag. He says, TLDR, crunch happens because of mismanagement, nepotism, ignorance, and feature creep. It happens because studios overpromise and underdeliver. It should not be the case. For every Hideo Kojima, you need 10 plus yes men that connive, smooth over, backpedal, and take backsies to placate the rest of the studio. To be perfectly honest, look at a pond. Scum always floats to the top. Cody, woo, man, what a way to close us out this week, brother. I say a lot, man. That's because I'm thinking. Okay. So yes, in short, you do have a problem with crunch. Now I will say it is terrible that And yeah, this does help me to understand why the gaming industry does need a union, because here it is, you have some friends that are, behind the scenes in TV and film. They do those amounts of hours, but after a while, they're able to get the protection of a union. So if they are working these crazy hours of time, they are being compensated, because I liked how you put two different scenarios out there. Basically, these guys, they'll get compensated, but then you said in the gaming industry, and I don't want to misquote you here, brother, you said that if you're a salary employee, then basically you got to deal with it. And it seems like to me, Cody, and you can correct me if I'm wrong about this, but basically the hours that you work, it possibly wouldn't even add up to what your salary is, because you're already salary based. So because you're working off of salary, you could be somewhere 22 hours and you're still getting paid for an 8-hour day. Is that what you're saying, Cody? That's what I'm getting, which is entirely horrible, man. I mean, that's a tough pill to swallow. And I understand salary, that goes into a lot of different industries, like you talked about in the beginning of your email, Cody. This kind of stuff, crunch, it happens in many different industries. I mean, like I was talking about the trucking industry, and I only bring that up because that's something that I can talk about in at least a pretty decent way. I don't really know about the gaming industry, but with trucking, it's been crunch. I mean, we get our time off though. And that's because, the law actually makes that, so we're not even under these circumstances. Now, once you're in the truck and you're out there on the road, then you're locked in. That's it. You keep on resetting your clock, and sometimes, you do work hard. Like I said, the summertime, that's a pretty busy time for us. And the holidays are a very, very busy time as well. My company is good though. I mean, I really like working for them. They're a good company, so I don't really have any problems with them. But I do talk to other guys, and they definitely have different circumstances that they're going through. But yeah, thankfully the job I have, they compensate us very well, or at least compensate me very well. I don't want to speak for anybody else, but if you're on a job and you're not being compensated for your time, that's terrible, man. And then basically saying you have a baby, that's great, congratulations on it. Can you be back in 2 weeks? Oh no, you can't be. Well, yeah, you're fired. Man. That's hard too, because I thought it was a law. What's it called? A HIPAA? Is it HIPAA law? Something like that? I don't know. I thought it was something in place where you could actually take the time off that you need if it has anything to do with family, or is that FMLA? It might be that. I don't know. It's one of those, but possibly. I could be wrong about both, but I thought it was something in line where you could actually do that and take off. If they're bypassing that and they're not even listening to that, and they're saying you got to go, that's a tough pill to swallow, man. So basically here, Cody, I see that you're saying that it's just better ways to do the crunch. I mean, it does happen, but people shouldn't be under the circumstances that they're being put under. It's better ways to do it. And I understand that, Cody. I do, brother. I absolutely understand what you mean. Like you said, the scum always floats to the top. God, dog, that's a heck of a bar right there, man. Yeah, man, Cody, listen, brother. I want to thank you for this email. Working over at Mythic for 4.5 years, man. So you saw it firsthand experience. Didn't hear it from a friend of a friend. You were there and saw it for yourself. That's tough, man. But I do want to thank you though for this great email, giving myself as well as everybody else a inside look at what it really is like being a developer. Being a developer, it was something that I dreamed of, Cody, so much, man. I wanted to go. I got accepted to the Art Institute of Philadelphia. I was going to go up there with my two buddies. Shout out to Mark and Renard. We were going to go up there. We were going to change the gaming world, brother. And I found out I wasn't a great drawer. I couldn't draw too great, and math wasn't really my strong suit. So, things just didn't pan out. But that was a dream for me, man. But the more I hear about it and just hear different stories, it's business, man. It's a tough job. It's good grief. It's a hard strain on family life, as it seems, and it's a hard industry to be a part of. And then after you finish the project, hearing that some people get let go, it's a cutthroat business, man. But unfortunately, the key word is business. In any business with big money, it's always cutthroat, Cody. Not saying that makes it right, because it absolutely doesn't. People are people. But, at the end of the day, they got to get that product out, man. They got to get that money back. And it's kind of rough, the situations that they put people in, to get to the bag. But, it's rough. But I appreciate it, Cody. I'm rambling again, brother. But before we finish up, and please continue to write in, Cody. Thank you so much, man. Let me see. We are at 52 minutes. So let me see. To try to lighten the mood up a little bit. Let's lighten it up. Good grief, Cody. I got to put a lantern out here, man. Good gracious. You painted a heck of a picture there with your email. But so here, we got some news today about PlayStation in their breakdown. Now, I wrote some notes down here because, like I say, my memory ain't great. So, yeah, today we got the PlayStation teardown, and during this teardown, we found out the PlayStation 5, and this is some information we already knew, but I wrote it down. It has a USB Type-C port that has speeds up to 10 gigabits per second. Let me see. It has a USB Type A port, and it has a LAN port. Now, before we go any further, I got some more notes here, but before we go any further, let me tell you guys, did you guys see the size of that PlayStation 5, man? God, and Joker is Andre the Giant big, man. I was looking at the guy moving it around. I was like, sheesh, where am I going? How's that Joker, man? Gosh, that thing is big. Now to me, I don't know, was it me or does it almost look something like a PS3 with just a little bit of a more smooth, flat top? Because it's like a certain part where it dips off to the front, and it reminded me of a PlayStation 3, the big bone joint, not the one where they, kind of redid it, resized it, and got it down smaller, but the big George Foreman looking joint, man. But the looks have never really mattered to me. I'm in it for the games. That's all that matters. It was just amazing. The reason why I'm bringing up the size, though, is because it's really interesting to see a Japanese manufacturer that is in a region in the world where, big hefty consoles are actually frowned upon. Because wasn't that why the original Xbox didn't sell too well over in Japan? They said it was too big and the controller was too big. And here you have PlayStation doing the same thing. That thing might be bigger than the Series X. That thing is tall. It almost reminds me of my Xbox One upstairs, the big bone, the original Xbox One, the one that looked like VCR Tape City. That one. I mean, this thing looks really, really big, man. And I wonder how the Japanese market are actually going to take to that, because I know they're more of a mobile gaming society for the most part. They're on their phones a lot. But I'll be interested to see what their population feels about such a big console coming out from Sony. They're usually a lot more cut, clean lines and, just a little smaller than this. But, man, I don't know. I could be nitpicking. But let me see what else did I write down here. Oh, yeah, they were saying that you can take the sides off. They took it off the stand, too. The stand was at the bottom. You can turn the PlayStation 5 on its side with the stand. It actually kind of gives it, I guess, a little bit of breathing room at the bottom, even though the vents are all in the back. Let me see, what else did I write down here? And I feel like I'm just doing such a bad job reading this off. It says it has an AMD Radeon, the GPU is an AMD Radeon RDNA 2 based graphics engine. It has GDDR6, 16 gigabytes of system memory. And yeah, the one thing that stood out to me now, like I say, tech, I haven't been into tech in a while. I mean, I'm getting better at it now. I'm learning the lingo and all of these 3090s, 3080s and what they can do. I'm getting better at it, but I would never sit up here and say I'm a professional. But the thing that threw me off was the SSD was on the motherboard. It was on board. It was SSD on board. I was really shocked to see that because in my mind, and here I go, here's my ignorance. I thought that the SSD was a drive, man. I thought it was the doggone Blu-ray drive. I was totally off the mark on that one, and I don't mind saying it. I did not know. But yeah, the SSD is on board. Yeah, there's a M2 NVMe SSD, Ultra HD Blu-ray drive, and it has a 350 watt power supply with some dust catchers. The dust catchers were dope because basically when you take those those sides of the PlayStation 5 off, because they look like they just snapped off real easy. The dust catchers, you go ahead and take a vacuum and put it in there to suck out the dust. It'll clean it out. So I think that's pretty cool. But that was basically to tear it down. Anyway, guys, I have rambled on long enough. I've held you guys here for over an hour. And man, I appreciate it if you made it this far. If you made it this far, God dog, give yourself a round of God doggone applause. Because man, I was stumbling and fumbling all over the place in this episode. But I appreciate y'all, man. Now, for the listeners out there, for you guys listening right now, if you do want to be a part of the show, you want to get your voice, heard here on the show, you can do it either by emailing the show. The email is the analogcirclepodcast@gmail.com, or you can, you can call in, and the number is 443-216-9934, and go on and let your voice be heard, man. But I'm going to get on out of here, and I will see you guys next week, as long as the emails keep flowing. So until then, until Sunday, I guess. Matter of fact, we're going to be back at it Sunday. So, I'm going to holler at y'all then. Peace.